Welcome back to another video. Today we're doing Ohio State's schedule review. Now, while I'm doing Ohio State, I just kind of picked them because they look like a very interesting team and they have a very interesting schedule for this year. To start off, they have to go against Ball State. That's, of course, an easy win. They start off 1-0. Next game is at Texas. I think Texas is a lot better than last year, especially with Arch Manning coming into this would be his third year or fourth year. His third year. This would be his third year. Um, no, I can't remember if this is third or fourth year, but Arch Manning I think is going to play a lot better than what he did last year. I think the talent he has around him is a little bit better with bringing in Cam Coleman. The defense is still kind of not the same. They lost some pieces on defense. Um, I do think Texas will be a lot better than what they were last year. At least trying to make an attempt. I think the SEC is really heavy this year, so I do think it will be harder for them to try to make it into the playoffs at least. But I do think Texas will be a lot better this year than what they were last year. And I do think this is a must-win game for Texas, to be honest with you. I feel like if they lose early on with the schedule that Texas has, it could be very, very bad for them going on a little deeper into the season since it's such an early on game. But I do think Texas will beat Ohio State, with Ohio State being 1-1 going into week 3 against Kent State, another easy win. Usually the first couple of games for Ohio State are usually nobody, so it's usually sometimes it's easy for them to start off 3-0. But they're gonna, to me, in my opinion, they're gonna go 2-1 going to the first 3 games of the season. To next at home, they will play Illinois, which is another not an easy one. It'll be a solid game. Illinois is always in the middle pack between when it comes to teams. They usually make it. Illinois makes games competitive, but usually they don't usually stay in games for long. So give me Ohio State to go to 3-1 and beat Illinois. Next, we have at Iowa, another team who's always in the middle pack and makes games very, very competitive. They have arguably some of the best defense almost every year. But give me Ohio State to beat Iowa and move to 4-1. Next, we have Maryland, another interesting team who I think is on the come up. They started off, I think, pretty solid last season, if I remember correctly. Do I think they will repeat that? I do think they can make a bowl game this year. I have them to make a bowl game this year, but I do not have them beating Ohio State. And give me Ohio State moving to 5-1. Then we have Indy. They're gonna be at Indiana. This is a very tough game because I don't know how Indiana is going to be. If they're gonna be, I think they're gonna not be like worse, but I do think they're going to take less of a drop off than what they were doing, of course, last season with winning a whole national championship. This next stretch for Ohio State is going to be kind of tough, but with Indiana, and it's going to be at Indiana. This is a tough one. Because my biggest thing with Ohio State, I think, going to be coming into you is how good is their defense going to be consistently against good teams like this. Because they lost a lot of pieces. You lost Sonny Styles, Caleb Downs, Arvell Reese, McDaniel, the defensive tackle. You lost a lot of pieces on defense. But your offense is still going to be amazing. Because I think Julian Sain is going to play a lot better. You still have Jeremiah Smith, of course. So it's... Give me... I'm going to take... I like Indiana, but give me Ohio State to beat them. I feel like this is going to be such a big revenge year for Ohio State. And one of my they're one of my top national championship contenders just because of that whole... They want to kind of get back at how they went out against Miami. So give me Indiana to move. I think that'll be 7-1. Hold on. No, 6-1. Okay, 6-1 going into at USC. That's on the road. They'll beat USC. They're a good team. They are just very inconsistent. They're gonna have a 9-3 season or 8-4 season. That's usually how their seasons usually go, as of lately. But give me Ohio State to beat them to move to 7-1. Next we have Oregon, and that's gonna be it's gonna be home. My bad. It's gonna be home. So Oregon has to come to Ohio. Give me Oregon to beat Ohio State. I feel like Oregon is not an underdog. I don't want to call them an underdog, but at least a team that can at least make it to the national championship game. They're going to be very good once Raiola gets in, Dalen Raiola. Once he gets in as a starting quarterback, not this season but next season, I think they'll be really good. Next is Northwestern. I think that is another very... Granted, Northwestern's actually been surprisingly on the come up, but they're not going to beat Ohio State. At least I don't think they are. By the way, after the Oregon loss, they'll move to 7-2. Then they'll beat Northwestern. They'll be 8-2, and then they have Nebraska, which I think Nebraska's going to be awful this year. They lost Raiola. They caught and lost some other pieces on offense and defense. They really weren't that good when they had all those pieces, at least to the standard they were trying to set. So give me Ohio State to beat Nebraska and move to 9-2. Then we have Michigan versus Ohio State. I'm going to say Ohio State. I have to see how Michigan plays throughout the season. Depending on how they play throughout the season, this will be a big, big factor. Because let's think of the scenario. Ohio State will come into this game 9-2. I think Michigan will be above 500 team. So let's say like 8-3, something around that range. Or 7-3, you have them go 8-4, 9-3. I think Michigan will somehow find themselves in a position where they'll be 9-3, at least 8-4, ending the season. All right, like even 6-6, like they're gonna be above 500. Is basically what I'm getting at. They're gonna be above 500 this season. But they were above by 500 the last two seasons. So I think even with the new coaching thing, they actually have a better coach than what they recently had. So I do think this is not a championship competing team, but at least a team going in the right direction. This is a must-win for Ohio State, not only because it's a rivalry game, but if you're 9-2 going into this game, then a loss here will most likely knock you out of the playoffs. So Michigan always finds a way to beat Ohio State. Even the last game, even though that game kind of ended in a blowout, Michigan kept that game competitive in like the first quarter, I would say. And then I think after like kind of late in the second quarter, it was kind of getting out of hand. But I have a feeling Michigan might be able to do it. I'm gonna say Ohio State's gonna beat Michigan, but it won't surprise me if Michigan wins that game. So I have Ohio State finishing 10-2, most likely not making the championship game. This conference is so tough because you have Indiana, Ohio State, Oregon. You kind of have to put Michigan back in that conversation. I feel like there's somebody else in this conference I'm forgetting. But I would say USC, but no. They're very far from... Oh, I forgot Penn State. That's what I'm forgetting. Penn State. Even though we can be like, oh, man, Penn State's going to be bad for how they played last season, but they literally have, like, a whole new roster. A whole new roster and a whole new coaching staff. So Penn State can be automatically back into the conversation. Because we're talking about a head coach who coached at Iowa State, who almost had Iowa State in a playoff position I think they lost the first game of the season though. Even though he did that with a lesser talent, not talented, because basically the same team he just brought over to Penn State. But we'll probably do Penn State schedule prediction next actually, because Penn State's another team I want to do. But yeah, I do have Ohio State finishing 10-2. I will go more in depth on Ohio State's team. I'll probably do another video, kind of doing the conferences in general, teams in general to kind of watch out for this season. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's a kind of a quick video to kind of put out there to kind of get myself back on track and uploading on a good schedule. I'm trying to upload every Monday and Friday. Try to be consistent at that. So the next video will most likely be either another schedule prediction, because I have a lot of those to put out, or teams to kind of just talking more in depth with college football in general. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will see y'all in the next one, and have a very, very blessed day.